Alright, looks like we got it going. It's like Popeye's spinach, man. Highly recommend it. Alright, so I got lots and lots of things to say. I'm gonna use this lubricant and this fluid to keep me going. And I think a lot of people out there get very, very, very confused about what this word gangsta people throw around. Well, what hip hop is and things. If you're watching BET, that's not hip hop. That's a bunch of dudes, homosexuals, pretending not to be, dancing around, fashion niggas with the silky clothes and the jewels. It got to be all feminized and things. And what are they fighting about? What are they getting into their slap fights about? They're fighting over whether some other dude might have used some words when they was talking to some other dude that they might have said before. How female is that? And I ain't hating on females, I mean, but that's and I ain't hating on homos, man. But don't let them lie to you. All sorts of big, big things going on, and they want you to forget. They want you to forget completely what all this shit's about. This right here will fix everything that's wrong with you, man. Everybody knows that, too. You still have people, not so much in the streets, in the ghetto, or the gangs, or the hip hop. You still have people convinced somehow that if the government sells you weed, it's good, and if it comes from the street, it's bad. But you know from experience it's not true. And you know it because the people doing what the government wants. And I'm not referring just to any particular standing government, but the fact that they fucking are running things. Those are the people that keep getting sick and dying and shit. All this talk about Illuminati. Illuminati is this whole like this crack hustling thing that people talk about. And they said it before, nobody really sells drugs, they offer drugs. You either want to buy them or you don't. And it's all voluntary. Even all those black magic symbology things you think are big and powerful, or they put a seeing eye on the money. So what? So what? Can you trade the money for what you need? That's the important thing. You think you're being watched every second of every day? Sort of. But the thing is, it's been that way a long time. And it's just getting faster now. It's still human beings on the other end. It's still human beings for now on the other end. We're getting more into computers running everything, but you need to pay attention to what someone's interests are compared to what they say their interests are. There's a there's a history of there's a way of passing on history they call a verbal tradition, uh, where you teach kids things in stories and you change the story a little bit as you need to. And basically, if you do it properly, the story stays essentially the same generation to generation. We do it now with videos and DVDs and things. Rap is a vocal delivery. It's a style of vocal delivery. Fucking hip hop is a culture. It's not just some classification thought up by Billboard.com or whatever. If you think that I don't even want to say their name. You think all these people are actually worth worshiping, giving them your money and things, you're lost. You're lost. Street entrepreneurialism. They would tell you that selling marijuana is bad. You should go to school. Why should you go to school? A lot of people say, oh, to get yourself brainwashed. But it's voluntary. You voluntarily borrow like 10, 20 grand for each semester, each year that you're going to be in school. You do this knowing that there's no guarantee you're going to have work when you come out. But is it easier than than creating and learning something new from your environment? Or do you got to go and get told from the outside what your environment should be? What by people that don't know, by people that don't know how to do it themselves, they get paid to teach. That's the way it breaks down in modern times with our way of monetizing things. But it's always been that way. Those people that came here because they couldn't make it over on the other side of the ocean for whatever reason. What makes you think they're more advanced than you? They didn't stay where things were good. If they had things so good, and if they were so on top of things, they would have stayed there. You'd never met them. They use these terms like race. Race is just class. When you start to if you start to explore your own background, you're gonna find you're probably not as purebred as you think. And when you really start learning about what that really means to you, you'll find that all these concepts of splitting things apart don't work the way they think it does. They'll tell you that your culture's been destroyed. Africans and Indians both. They say, "Oh, your culture's been totally destroyed. We're very sorry we did that, but we totally destroyed your culture." No, they didn't. They didn't totally destroy the culture. They messed with it. I ain't saying they didn't do some bad shit, but they did not totally destroy it. Now, when you get too big and get too noticed, and you say too many things and you don't knuckle under, somebody might kill you. This shit happens all over the place. And the key there is to not forget that that's a possibility. Like there's a Raymond Washington thing. Just for one example, where everybody says, "Oh, strangers, we don't know, we don't know, we don't know." When the Crips started fighting, these are all on videos you can look up yourself. And they say the time that it really started, somebody we didn't know ran up on the scene, busted shots, and took off, and we never saw him again. Use your head. I'm not saying don't shoot at people. I'm saying be real careful what you get yourself into, because the consequences may be way worse than the consequences of not doing what you think you should do. I'm saying some shit ain't worth fighting for, or even if it should be worth fighting for, it ain't gonna work out that way. You see on these websites, these big corporate websites or YouTube pages and things, you'll see lots of comments with people arguing. Well, why don't they do something about that? Oh, this comment's racist, that one's prejudiced, that one's this and that and this. They don't care because every comment of fighting and strife at the bottom of the page and in the little smallest section of the website for them to maintain, because now it's your account. You have to have the account, and it's an external service like a Facebook or a Twitter plugin. It's all external. They don't have to do none of it now because none of it's hosted on their page anymore. It exists in a virtual space to a virtual space to a virtual space. And every argument you get into, they get to have the advertisements pop up. And if you want your advertisement up there, you gotta pay for that. So if you want to advertise your music video or your vodka or your clothes, you gotta pay for that. That's money. They don't give a fuck about you arguing amongst yourselves, as long as they're getting paid to host the argument. And underneath the paid advertisement is their message, which they'll present like an article, and it's really oftentimes it's still a biased message with a purpose that today looks like it's to get advertising money, but in reality they'll tell you it still comes down to they want to put out their message as a written art form or whatever for it to exist on its own. which still has its own bias and meaning and purpose and an expected effect, an intended consequence. I don't care what TMZ finds out about who did what, wherever. I see real things. Like, for example, and I know this gets, we talk these things all the time, but about let's say 2 blocks from my house, this 60, 70, 80-year-old Chinese guy, grandfather, opens his door, gets sprayed. Now, they didn't come out and say it was automatic gunfire, but they were stumbling over their words trying to describe it without saying automatic gunfire. And they say nobody knows why, blah 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 blah. But this shit really happened here, and I'm supposed to act like so long as I do everything they tell me, everything's copacetic. Eat the pill, eat the pill. Don't eat the pill. Do some research, do some reading. Shit doesn't have to be true to be worth reading. There could be something wrong in it and still be worth knowing that somebody put that out there. Just because I put up a Wikipedia link on a Facebook page doesn't mean it's correct on the other end. It means I want you to look at that, and if you find something wrong with it, fix it. This internal, how do I phrase this? Conflict resolution, and even that's starting to sound tried and hackneyed. Uh, there's always another way to make money off something. And that sounds cheesy, but that's the lowest common denominator. And if you aren't willing to find a way to do it, somebody else will. Somebody else will get along with the people you don't want to get along with, and they don't care if they wipe you out or whatever. Your local environment is dying. Everything around you. These are issues that you never would have thought it to be a hip hop issue or a ghetto issue, and they don't want you to. But look at what's happening now. It's, as I say, this 2014. We're lucky we survived this long. And they don't want you to pay attention to learn anything. They don't want you to learn anything outside of your little box where you're plugged in. They run wires right to your house, and they put a meter on the electric wire. They put a meter on your water. They send you bills in the mail for the TV. There's no meter on that. They just tell you what you have to pay because of a non-physical, non-measurable thing. Now everything you watch, they can keep track of everything you watch when you watch it. There's some serious vested interest in keeping you in the dark. So I got lots and lots of things to say. This has been pretty broad spectrum. My time is going to run out on this in a minute or two. You want politics and gangs? Let's get into some politics and gangs. Whether you like it or not, the black market still has more marijuana of a better quality than anything the government can come up with. These MMPR licensed places, they're all financed by somebody, but they can't make a profit. You see, they're trying to do something street, and they ain't from the street. Street entrepreneurialism. Let me break down some mathematics for you. People criticize for us not having good English skills. Now, we usually speak that way on purpose, so we can speak perfectly correct all the time as well. But why? When you try to compete based on price, your target market doesn't automatically have more money to buy it. You are trying to recover. You are trying to get, how do I say this? You are collecting less money, less often, and having to spend more money more often, and those get out of whack. And if you ever sold drugs in your life, or did basic types of I want to say retail, but not this new type of retail. But if you worked at the bottom level of a supply chain, like selling food, where it's made somewhere and consumed, then you know what I'm talking about.